Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of The Northman. This movie is directed by Robert Eggers, who previously directed The Witch and The Lighthouse. This movie stars Alexander Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy with Nicole Kidman, and Klaus Bane. Now, the plot of this movie is Alexander Skarsgård plays an adult version of a man named Amleth, who, as a child, was a prince to a king, and when his father is murdered by his uncle, as the trailer depicts, he will avenge his father, save his mother, and kill his Uncle Venrir. Now, if this plot sounds familiar at all, it's because it's seemingly The Lion King. And this is actually the real-life story that would be the basis for Shakespeare's Hamlet. Now, going into this film, it being a movie by Robert Eggers, I knew that it was going to be a little psychedelic, I knew the acting was going to be really good, and I also thought this film was going to be grounded, for the most part, in reality, with a couple metaphors, symbolism, visions here and there to establish the Norse mythology, and that's pretty much what it was. But what we got was something more akin to The Green Knight and The Witch, where there were supernatural elements, and the plot, the storyline was realistic, but it's like this movie was a story that you were being told about these characters. It was almost like you're watching a version of like Beowulf, where you heard of these characters before and you're being told this supernatural story, this thing that takes place in real life but has magic and creatures and all these supernatural things added into it. But that's a Robert Eggers movie. As well as a few actors that he's worked with before, you have writing, you have this movie that's very well shot, and you have some brutal scenes too. If you're a fan of Norse mythology or Vikings, then you're really going to enjoy this movie. It was like certain parts were taken right out of the newest God of War video game, or even Assassin's Creed Valhalla, involving darkness, magic, spells, characters, chanting, celebrating, and even raiding villages. Now, if you don't have a strong stomach, some of these scenes can be quite hard to watch. However, they're beautifully shot. There's a scene where Amleth and his crew are raiding this village, and the camera's holding on him, going up a wall, destroying anything in its path. But there's also some really cool scenes that reflect one another. There's a scene, for example, that's very similar. Two parts of the movie. They're the same thing, but they depict two different emotions and atmospheres. One is, horror and brutality. The other one is celebrating freedom. It involves fire, that's all I'm going to say. Now, the acting in this movie is really good. Alexander Skarsgård, wow. He definitely dedicated to this role because he is in tip-top shape. You thought he looked good in that movie Tarzan he did? Wow. His dedication to this character? Very good. Also, Anya Taylor-Joy as a character named Olga, she's also really good. She's a spell speaker. You'll know when you watch the movie. But she's also really good. A couple of these actors and actresses have worked with Robert Eggers before. Anya Taylor-Joy was in The Witch. The woman and man that play the mother and the father from The Witch are also in this movie in very small roles. And Willem Dafoe also pops up as this mage, this magic guy. His scene is quite enjoyable. But also co-stars include Ethan Hawke and, as I said earlier, Nicole Kidman. I'm waiting for a role to come along where I watch it and go, you know what, Nicole Kidman, I wasn't feeling her character. But no, here she proves she's still got it. Especially as a certain scene, I'll just say there's a twist involving her character where you're just like, whoa, I did not see that coming. But she nails that character and that scene. So this movie is not for everyone. It's violent, it's sad, and it's a movie about revenge. So that alone should tell you what kind of movie this is. But also, visually, it looks really good. Whether it's fire, whether it's nighttime, whether it's daytime, whether it's combat, whether it's people enjoying life. The movie looks really good. And so because this movie is very well done, it's typical Robert Eggers fashion. It's a movie set in the real world with supernatural elements to it, but it all works together. Because of that, I'm going to give The Northman an A. This definitely is worth seeing if you like movies such as The Green Knight or The Witch. Or even movies like Pathfinder. That one's also pretty good. So, until next time, guys, see ya.